Brad Mayer here, and I want to talk to you guys about vinyl tops and what they can do to your car. This is my 1972 Camaro that I picked up for $2,500 last week. And no $2,500 1972 Camaro comes without its merits. So, here we have it. This is a factory vinyl top Camaro. And what that vinyl top does, essentially, from the factory, is if it's stored outside, the vinyl top will hold in moisture. And what that causes is, well, lovely little rust holes. It converts that water into nice rust holes. As we can see down here, you can see all the way through the roof. And a lot of times this under roof skin is in decent shape. This one only has about this one hole in it, really, so that can be saved. However, the rest of the roof is trashed. Didn't go through there, but it did go through here. And that's not the only hole. Up here as well, and as you can tell, this was much worse before. Somebody replaced, along this line, you can see the weld line under the Bondo. Somebody decided it would be a great idea to replace the front of this roof skin with galvanized sheet metal. And they did a terrible job. It's under 1/4 inch of Bondo. This entire roof skin needs to be replaced. The under roof skin, I think I can manage to fix that without having to take down the entire roof. But even then, it's still not good. There's even pinholes back here, and you can see it started to go through right here as well. Another thing about these vinyl tops is when they basically came out of the factory, they didn't paint the entire roof of the car. So it made it even more susceptible to rust underneath where you can't even see it. They painted usually probably up to around here, and it did start to rust a little bit here as I showed you before. There's a little bit of Bondo there, but I could tell this isn't as bad as the rest of the roof. Now, my recommendation to you guys is if you have a vinyl top still on your car, I would 100% recommend that you go out, take a look at it, just knock on the roof a little bit, push in, essentially see if there's any squishy spots under the vinyl top, because that is a sure indicator that your roof is starting to rust from the outside in. Nobody wants that, because even this, while the roof skin might be $300-400, it is not really easy to replace. Now, for an experienced body person, sure, this can be done in a weekend, but for the average Joe, they're going to see this and run away. Most people probably would have ran away seeing this Camaro with holes in the roof. But I know people, and I know myself, I think I can get this done, so it's not too big of a deal. And you might be thinking, wow, that's pretty bad for a vinyl top. Well, I must say, it does get a lot worse than this. I have a 1968 Camaro that is soon to go under a full restoration that has it much worse than this. It's a factory vinyl top car, and it sat outside for a great deal of its life. Finally in the garage, but let's jump over and see what damage that vinyl top did to the car. So we jumped over to the 1968 Camaro, and as you can see here, I wanted to show you this because this is where they stopped painting on the original cars. Now, it might have came up a little bit higher than that, but essentially there's no other paint to be found on the roof. They basically, right along this strip here, they'd stop painting just to apply the vinyl top. It saved on paint, saved on time, and saved them money. But to us restorers, it did not save money for us, because 50 years later, here we are. Well, you might be looking at this roof and thinking, hey, that's not as bad as the other one. There's just a few small holes that could be welded in. Well, let's go over to the back window. And this is where it gets really bad. This is my 1968 Camaro that needs a full roof skin and quarters because of this rot. Essentially what happened here, the vinyl top held in moisture and created this giant hole right by the back window. Not only did it create this giant hole, it rotted out the entire frame around the roof. That makes it incredibly hard to install a back window in this properly. This thing's just sitting in here currently, and obviously this car needs a full restoration, but the problem is I am not comfortable with doing this top, or this full roof skin by myself, or really personally at all. The other one I can get away with, I can do that. This one is a bit too much for me. it's going to probably be really hard to find somebody that wants to take this project on, but it needs to be done given what the car actually is. And that's fine with me. I'm willing to pay that to get this done right. But this is just, it's tremendous what a vinyl top can do to your car. So if you have a factory one, feel around the vinyl top. Make sure there's nothing squishy or, sinking in when you press your hands down on it, because that could be a sign of pretty much extreme failure in your roof. And this did numbers on the entire roof. Everywhere. There's little pinholes, you name it. They are everywhere on this car in the roof. And amazingly, the floors are actually pretty solid. The trunk's actually really solid, amazingly. But that's not always the scenario, because when you start getting rot like this from the vinyl top, it will start to sink into, it'll go through the vinyl top, I'll say that first, through your roof, and then it'll start to rot other things from leaking into the interior, getting onto the floorboards, getting into the trunk. It's a downhill scenario that nobody wants to ever deal with. If you have a factory vinyl top car and it's still the original top, what I would 100% recommend is making sure that car is garaged at all times. I probably really wouldn't even drive it in the rain that much unless the vinyl top's been off and it's been sealed pretty much and it's been painted on the roof completely. As I said, these factory cars were not painted completely on the roof when it came to these vinyl tops, and this is what can happen from that. Really, just, it's something that gets super expensive super fast. I can't even imagine how much this is going to cost to fix, unfortunately. But for this car, we're in it for the long haul. So that's no problem, but it is a pretty big problem. So that's my word of advice, is make sure that if you have a vinyl top on your car currently, that you feel around it, make sure there's nothing getting squishy, or, make sure that it's solid. Knock around it a little bit, see if anything, starts coming apart. If you don't have a headliner in your car, check under it, see what's going on, see if you can see any spots where it's starting to go through. But, of course, just make sure that it gets addressed in some way, some form of fashion. As I said, park it inside. If you can park it inside, park it inside. If it has to be parked outside, put a tarp over it, for Christ's sake. You're going to need it, because this is what's going to happen over the long run. And this isn't like a Salt State car. This is a Washington/Oregon car. Heck, this even spent a lot of it. Actually, this car was purchased in California. So California, Washington, and Oregon. That's the only states this car has ever been in. Bought brand new. California, Washington, and Oregon. And this is what happened over the years. It's incredible, and it's saddening. So, of course, just keep the stuff inside. And honestly, you might get lucky with these vinyl tops and your roof might not be rusted out. I'm not saying that's the case for all of them, as some of these cars were well taken care of. Some of them were garage kept, and those vinyl tops lived throughout the years without rotting the roof. But I guarantee if it's original, it's going to have at least some rust. It doesn't mean it's going to have holes. It doesn't mean, it's going to rot out the back window, but it's going to have some rust under there, period, pretty much. It's a fact of life. If a car's been on the road for 50 years, heck, even 10 years, you're going to start seeing rust. Doesn't mean it's going to go all the way through, but you're going to start seeing rust. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. And if you liked it, comment, like, and subscribe. And as always, you guys have a great day.